Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. All our OP had to do to achieve his goal was to directly obey his boss in our first story. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Company uniform. This happened 20 years ago. I got a job at a jeans store that was opening in the local mall. I was in college, so happy to make a few bucks. First day, we're getting ready to open, and my new boss shows up with a box on baby tees, basically a stretchy crop top with the store name on it. I laughed so hard watching the girls putting them on, many of them not happy or flattered by the shirt. Then my boss looks at me, only guy working there, and tells me I have to wear one too. I thought it was a joke, but the boss said, "Nope, if I don't wear the shirt, I'll be fired before I even start." I thought about walking away, but then I had a better idea. The biggest shirt they had was a women's medium. I'm over 6 feet tall, size 19 neck, far from skinny and pretty hairy. So I put the shirt on, let my nice hairy belly stick out, and walked to the front of the store to greet the first customers. My boss ran out to stop me from scaring strangers. Instant regret. I never ended up wearing those shirts, laughed whenever the girls were made to wear it. If I were you, I'd have worn the shirt anyway, even if the boss tried to stop me. After all, it was his order under threat of termination, and you wouldn't want to be fired, right? And our next story. Revenge on a police officer. I'm 31 now, but this happened when we were about 18 or 19. We lived on a hill here in the UK, and it was just good etiquette that everyone in our street parked outside their own houses. It wasn't something we all agreed, and every now and then we parked outside one another's houses on a temporary basis, but it was just an understanding everyone had that you don't park outside other people's homes as there's limited space. I'd lived at this house for more than 8 years at this point. My mom's still there now, and it's probably relevant to highlight the fact that we were the only Indian family on this street at the time. We got along with our neighbors without issue, except one house almost directly across the road and one left to our house. We just didn't click, really. This kid who was my age lived across the road from us. His name was Jack, not his real name. Jack's dad had left when he was young, and he had an older sister, and he lived with his mom. I had a strange relationship with him. We weren't friends, and he wasn't really the type of person I wanted to hang out with, as he was kind of like a feral kid. He rarely went to school, lived an impulsive life, just hanging about the streets and messing around all the time. And coming from a strict Indian family, it just didn't fit in with my attitude. When we moved into the house, a couple years into our home, we were robbed and we lost everything. I had a Nintendo game console I'd saved every penny of my dinner money to get, and got it for £25 with Super Mario 3 and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I had the console 1 week and my house was ransacked and we lost loads of valuables and even money that wasn't insured. We didn't have much, but what little we lost, I was heartbroken. I have no idea how we were targeted, but I heard from my mom that Jack was apparently knocking on our door to see if we were in that day, and he was walking down the side alley too, where there's a kitchen window to look into the house. Now, I'm no genius, but this stank. This was one of the reasons I avoided him at all costs, despite being quite cool with other people on the street, as I wouldn't have put it past him. He spent most of his days around the streets just hanging around, and I figured he'd know people's routines by this. Anyways, he was always doing daft things, and one time when I was about 15, 4 years prior to the incident I'm building up to, he was playing with my neighbor who lived to the left of us. Anyways, as they're running around, he jumps on my mom's car and stands on it, and the roof too. I see him through the windows as I'm going upstairs, and I knock on the window and shout, "Get the F off my car!" He panics and runs inside my neighbor's house, and I run out PO'd at him for that with my older brother. He could have dented the car, and it was just pure disrespect to do that. This is the kind of kid he was. Anyways, him and his mates come out of the house, and we have a bit of a verbal altercation. He yells, "You effing Pakistani slur." I'm not Pakistani, and I get PO'd, but eventually we calm down as Jack apologizes for his mate, and we go in. This kinda set a bad precedent for our relationship, even further from this point on, really. Fast forward to when we were 18 or 19 now. His mom's dating a police officer who ends up parking outside our house, and this isn't really an issue at this point, as sometimes, needs must, etc. The problem is, this became a recurring theme. As we live on a hill, things get a bit more difficult. You see, everyone parks outside their own homes as there's limited space, and if our space is taken up by this police officer's car, then we can't park anywhere on the hill. We have to park at the bottom, and if we've done the shopping, carrying this up all the way home or walking all the way to our house from parking our car can get tedious really fast, especially when it's daily. It got to the point he was doing it so often, my brother thought he would ask him nicely to move. No malice or bad intent intended. He goes over to ask him if he wouldn't mind moving his car, as he had space outside his own house now. The police officer takes out his police badge and shows my brother and says he's a police officer and will park wherever he wants. My brother, bearing in mind he's only 19 or 20 at this point, is like, whatever, fine. Just trying not to cause an issue. Now, purely because my brother asked him if he wouldn't mind moving his car, nicely too, not being a jerk or anything about it, he made it a point to always park outside our house to aggravate us further, as they knew it was an issue for us. Every opportunity, even when he had space outside his own house, every time. This went on for about 5 months, and my brother asked him nicely again 2 more times, as we're having to put up with this daily as he was visiting his girlfriend, Jack's mom. This had gone on for months, and it gets old really fast, especially as you're looking outside your window and wondering why he's parked in front of your house, forcing you to park elsewhere and walk every day to your house when he has a space to park outside his own. They had a driveway for Jack's mom's car, but they'd move his car outside the driveway and block off the lay-by space with Jack's mom's car, leaving the driveway clear despite being able to park there, so this cop can then park in our spot. Now, when you're watching the level of thought they go through, you really begin to wonder, geez, why the F are they going to this much trouble to piss us off? The only Indian family on the street, we have some patchy history with his girlfriend's son, and he's acting like this? Who knows, but it felt like there was something beneath it. One day, my brother snapped after having put up with this for so long. He went over to him and asked him nicely again if he wouldn't mind moving his car. He refused to move it. My brother responds saying, fine, you want to leave it there? It's going to stay there indefinitely now. The cop watches as my brother gets in his car and moves it within like 0.1 millimeter away from his car's front. He then gets in my mom's car and moves this car 0.1 millimeters away from its back, effectively trapping it inside. He can't move it without effectively hitting our cars now. He says he's calling the police, and my brother says, call the effing police then. Now, the police response times here are poor. We had a car crash outside our house, and no one came for like 45 minutes to look into it. We fully expect this guy to ring his friends on the police force to scare us, and this is exactly what he does. Less than 5 minutes later, talk about fast, we have a knock on the door, and 2 police officers ask us if they can come inside and speak to us. We were fully prepared for this and say, no, you can't. You can stand right here outside, and first things first, we want your badge numbers and an incident number for this call-out. Every call-out must have an incident number if it's an official call-out. They start to crap themselves a little and become a little meek as we start to question them. Do you know this police officer? What's the incident number? What police precinct are you based at? Do you work the same precinct as him? How do you get her so quickly in less than 5 minutes? They're aware that this is being recorded, by the way. This catches them off guard, and they start to get a little flustered. We lay into them saying, we know this isn't an official call-out, while taking their picture standing at our door too, and say we're more than happy to take a trip to the police station to address this whole fiasco with their supervising officer so they can explain it all. But our cars are not moving anywhere, and he will remain trapped there. The penny drops for them, and at this point I imagine they realize they've bitten off more than they can chew. It's not going to be a quick little favor for their buddy as they realize we were fully prepared to go to the police station to address this. Their response, let's go over to him and try to talk to him about this, they say, offering to mediate the situation. At this point, this D-head cop is watching us talk to them, obviously unaware of what's being said, and the police, his friends, cross over to him. As they do this, we go over to their police car and take pictures of this as well as them talking to their friend as they watch us. There's no way they can deny not being here. The gravity of the situation starts to dawn on them, no doubt. Let me explain. They're on an unofficial call-out during their working hours doing something highly questionable which appears to be potentially racially motivated. The fact that we're the only Asian family on the street and being subjected to the antagonization isn't helping the issue, nor is the fact that he's chosen to park outside our house when the entire street is empty, which we duly photographed. Technically, he hasn't broken any law, but it's this kind of crap that can seriously leave a nasty mark on careers, especially if we push for a formal investigation or went to the press about this victimization. It was a crap storm brewing that no cop wants to be a part of, and the fact that they're out on an unofficial call-out doesn't help, as there's no call log or reason for them to be there. They have no excuse for being there unless it's completely off the books. Less than 3 minutes later, the two police officers and this D-head cop come around and apologize, with him saying, "I'm sorry for parking on your street. It'll never happen again." He never did either. Eventually, he broke up with Jack's mom a month or so later. Jack, however, wasn't too bad in his older years. They moved away after a couple of years, and I didn't hear much of him. Dude, you did the right thing. And good on you for calling the crap on those cops. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.